Hi again, everyone. So we are back for Chapter 3 of the Bobbsey Twins at School by Laura Lee Hope. And we are actually still on the same night, but the kids wanted one more chapter. So here we go, on to Chapter 3. Chapter 3, The Search. When Freddie and his father walked into the next coach, they could plainly see that the fat lady was not sitting there, for no passenger took up more than half a seat. "Daddy," said Freddie with a sudden idea, "maybe the fat lady belonged to the circus." "Well, you might be right," Mr. Bobbsey agreed. "We'll go out and take a look." With all the twins following, Mr. Bobbsey made his way out of the car and along the tracks to the circus train. "Did you see a fat lady?" Freddie asked a man who was leading a camel. The man said he had been too busy finding the camel to notice anything else and walked on. The other children and Mr. Bobbsey asked several circus workers the same question, but none of them had seen the fat lady. Suddenly, Flossie cried out, "Look, over there!" "Is it the fat lady?" Freddie asked. "No, a black cat." "It must be Snoop," Freddie shouted gleefully. They all looked where Flossie was pointing just in time to see a cat disappear into one of the boxcars. "Wasn't it Snoop, Daddy?" Freddie asked excitedly. "Well, it might have been," Mr. Bobbsey replied. "I only saw his tail." "I'll take a look," Bert volunteered. He ran over to the car and looked inside the big open door. Besides being very dark, the inside of the car was filled with crates and ropes and big sheets of canvas. Finding a cat in there would be difficult, so Bert tried calling, "Snoop! Snoop!" There was not even a meow to answer him. The other children tried. Suddenly, out bounded a big black cat. But it was not Snoop. This one was twice as big and growled as it went past. Snoop would never do that. "Oh, we'll give up our search," decided the twins' father. "Cats usually find their way home anyhow." This satisfied the small twins, to whom the loss of Snoop seemed more important than the silver cup. The older twins and their father did not feel the same way. Of course, they hoped that nothing had happened to Snoop, but they were sorry to lose the fine silver cup which had been presented to them so recently. After all, it had a special meaning for them. When the children and their father reached the coach where Mrs. Bobbsey and Dinah were waiting, Mrs. Bobbsey asked anxiously if they had found the fat lady. "No, no, no," the children all replied at once, and then told their mother how they had decided the fat lady belonged to the circus. A brakeman who overheard the conversation said yes, she did belong to the circus. She had missed the show train and had come on this later one. "When we stopped, the fat lady got out and went up ahead," said the brakeman. "Part of the circus train, carrying the performers, was not damaged, and that has gone on. The fat lady's with them." "Oh, dear," exclaimed Mrs. Bobbsey. "Can you find her, Lady Richard?" "I think so, but it will take some time. I understand the circus is going to Danville. That's a day's run from here. I'll write to the manager there and ask him if the fat lady knows anything about our silver cup." Dinah was now standing up, ready to leave the train. The poor woman looked like a baggage man. In each hand she held a suitcase. Under each arm was a box. An umbrella dangled from one finger, and she was holding her purse under her chin. "Oh, my goodness," exclaimed Mrs. Bobbsey, laughing at the amusing scene. Bert dashed forward to relieve the colored woman of some of her burden. "I'll take Snoop's basket," offered Flossie. "Maybe he'll come home to sleep in it." Each of the children was given small parcels to carry. Fortunately, it had grown cold and everyone could wear his coat and not have to carry it. Mr. Bobbsey picked up the other two suitcases, and Mrs. Bobbsey gathered all the odds and ends that were left. When they got outside, Mr. Bobbsey realized for the first time what a tremendous amount of baggage they had with them. "We can never carry all this to the bus," he said. "We'll be sure to drop some of it or lose it. And besides, these suitcases are mighty heavy," he chuckled. "Mother, you must have brought all the shoes we owned." Mrs. Bobbsey smiled at his teasing, for of course she had not brought that many shoes, but she realized it would be impossible to carry their luggage so far. "How would it be," she suggested, "if Dinah and I take the children home and you stay on the train with the baggage?" Mr. Bobbsey groaned. "Ugh, I could never get all this stuff off the train alone," he said. "I'll stay with you," offered Bert. In the end, it was Dinah who made the suggestion, which they followed. She brought to their attention that it was supper time and everyone should eat. Bert and his father could not go without food any better than the rest of them. Why don't we all carry the little bundles," she said, "and leave all this here stuff what a packing mule ought to be carrying anyway on the train. That nice conductor man can put it off at the Lakeport station." "A very good idea," said Mr. Bobbsey. "I admit I'm starving." He spoke to the conductor, who was willing to do this. The Lakeport station agent knew the Bobbseys well and would surely take care of the suitcases and large packages until they were called for. With everyone in the Bobbsey party carrying something small, the family set off across the field toward the bus line. The moon was well up now, and there was a good light flooding the fields. Nan and Bert walked together, talking about the wreck and some of the incidents of catching the circus animals, especially Prince. Flossie and Freddie were with Dinah, asking her if she thought they would ever see their pet cat Snoop again. They had had him so long that he seemed like one of the family. "Maybe he ran off and joined the circus," said Flossie suddenly. "Maybe," spoke her brother, "but he can't do any tricks, so they won't want him in a show." "He can so do tricks. He can chase his tail and almost grab it." "That isn't a trick." "It is so, as much as standing on your head, isn't it, Dinah?" asked Flossie. "I guess you'd have to rightly say it is," agreed Dinah. "I never heard of trick cats, though, just dogs." "Well, it isn't a circus trick," declared Freddie. "I meant a circus trick." "Snoop is a good cat anyhow," went on Flossie, "and I wish we had him back." "Oh, so do I!" exclaimed Freddie. They were walking now through a little patch of woods. Bert, who was the last one in line, suddenly called out, "Something is coming after us." "Coming after us? What do you mean?" asked his father. "I mean, I've been listening for 2 or 3 minutes now to some animal following us." Flossie and Freddie held tightly to Dinah's skirt. Don't scare the children, Bert," said Mr. Bobbsey a bit sternly. "Did you really hear something?" "Yes, Dad, it's some animal walking behind us. Listen, don't you hear it?" They all listened. From down the hard dirt path, they all heard the pit-pat of footsteps. Was it one of the circus animals that had not been captured? We'll have to find out tomorrow night for Chapter 4. Good night, all.